Hello, everyone. Welcome to Visual Learning Center. Today, we will learn general science topic, population growth, survival, and extinction. So let's start.
Today, we're going to dive into one of nature's most fundamental and sometimes, kind of brutal stories. It's all about the delicate dance between population survival and what happens when that dance stops: extinction. So, right off the bat, here's a bit of a riddle for you. How is it possible that more life can actually lead to less life? I know, it sounds like a paradox, right? But this is the exact question we're going to unpack. And the answer, well, it tells us something really crucial about the fragile balance of our world. All right, so our story starts with something that seems pretty simple, even good: population growth. But as you're about to see, when this basic part of life gets thrown out of whack, it can set off a chain reaction with some seriously dramatic consequences. So, what do we actually mean by population? It's really just the total number of one species in a specific area. Think of all the deer in a forest or all the fish in a single pond. Population growth is just what happens when that number starts to go up. So what's the recipe for that growth? Well, it really just boils down to three key things. First, you've got more births happening than deaths. Second, conditions are pretty much perfect. Lots of food, it's safe, and for us humans, good medical care is a big one. When all those things line up, a population can just explode. And here you can see the two sides of that coin. In a balanced ecosystem, everything's humming along nicely. There's enough food, enough space for everyone. But when those scales tip over into overpopulation, the picture changes big time. All of a sudden, you've got food shortages, not enough space, more pollution, and this fierce, almost desperate competition for the basics. And that intense competition, it leads us right into our next chapter, what I like to call the survival game. Because when resources get scarce, life turns into a really high-stakes challenge for every single living thing out there. Survival isn't just about existing. It's the active, moment-to-moment ability to stay alive when things get tough. It's a constant fight against the odds, whether that's finding your next meal or, trying not to become someone else's. So what does it take to win this game? Well, every living thing has a basic checklist it has to follow, no exceptions. You got to get food, you got to find shelter, you have to protect yourself from danger, and this one's huge for the future of the species, you have to reproduce. If an organism can't tick off those boxes, its chances of making it, well, they drop like a rock. So how does nature give life a fighting chance in this game? The ultimate tool is adaptation. These are the special features or behaviors, you can almost think of them as nature's superpowers, that give a species its own unique edge. Just look at some of these incredible examples. A camel's knack for storing water lets it completely own the desert. A polar bear's thick fur coat, it makes it the king of the freezing Arctic. Even a cactus has a superpower. It stores water to thrive where almost nothing else can. These adaptations are what makes survival possible in some of the most extreme places on Earth. But what happens when the world changes too fast? Or when that competition gets too intense? What happens when even those incredible adaptations just aren't enough anymore? Well, this is when the game reaches its final, irreversible end. We're talking about extinction. And let's be clear, this isn't just a species having a tough time. This is the complete and permanent disappearance of an entire species from the face of the Earth. Think of the dinosaurs. They're gone forever. There's absolutely no coming back from this. So what pushes a species over that edge? Sometimes it's massive natural disasters, volcanoes, earthquakes, or huge shifts in the climate. But more and more, the cause is us. Losing habitats because of deforestation, pollution, overhunting. These are all human activities that can put a species on the fast track to extinction. And this is a really important distinction to make. An endangered species, like the giant panda or the snow leopard, is right on the brink. They're still in the survival game, but they are losing badly. Extinction, on the other hand, that's when the game is well and truly over. No continues. There are no second chances, no do-overs. It is the final, absolute word in a species' entire story. Okay, so this brings us to what might be the most important part of this whole explainer:
Now that we understand all the pieces, population, survival, and extinction, let's connect the dots and see the full picture and really understand why it matters so much.
So what's the thread that really ties all of this together? How do you get from something as simple as a few more animals being born all the way to something as final as extinction? It's a domino effect. It's a clear, predictable chain reaction. It all starts when a population grows too big for its environment. That directly leads to resources getting scarce, which makes that game of survival brutally hard. And if a species can't adapt or find a way to survive in these new, tough conditions, it starts facing the ultimate danger: extinction. So why is getting this so important for us? Because it forces us to see that nature isn't just a bunch of separate things. It's a delicate, interconnected machine. It shows us why conservation isn't just a nice idea, it's absolutely critical. It proves that our actions, or even our lack of action, can be the one thing that stops that final domino from falling. You know, if you take just one thing away from all this, let it be this simple but powerful truth. Everything in nature is connected. An action over here can create ripples that we might not even see until it's way too late. Which kind of leaves us with one last big question to think about. We know just how delicate this balance is, and we know we're a huge, powerful part of this system. So the real question is, are we doing enough to protect that balance? Definitely something to think about.